This is a Nekko Media podcast.
What's your pleasure, sir?
Welcome, cinephiles and Cenobites. This is Cinebite26 of Season 3. I'm your host, Annika Pussyfoot. For this Cenobite, we are joined by a friend of the show. She is a filmmaker with many talents, but we keep the combo in writing, how to write, her work, and personal tastes. Here's our chat with writer Dana Ledoux Miller.
All right, welcome to a new episode of the Cinephiles and Cenobites podcast. I'm Onofre, and with me, my co-host, Mox.
What's up? Today, we're joined by writer and producer, Dana Ledoux Miller. Hi, Dana.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for agreeing to be on and letting us pick your mind about stuff. You want to go ahead and maybe give a little background on yourself?
Sure. I am currently living in Los Angeles. I'm writing on a TV show, season 2 of AMC's Lodge 49. I'm from Long Beach, California. I moved to Hawaii when I was 20, lived there for quite some time until I moved back to LA to try and get some more work. And that's how I ended up in the field of writing. I was a writer's assistant on the pilot or on the season 1 of The Newsroom for HBO, and after season 1, I was given my big break and promoted to writer for season 2, and now I'm here talking to you guys.
Awesome. And that just kind of the break came out of nowhere overnight, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd been working for Aaron Sorkin for a year, and at the end of the first season, there were 2 writer's assistants, and he promoted us both for season 2. So that was a huge, huge deal for us.
Oh, do you mind talking about how that happened? Did you just be like, hey, I've been noticing your work ethic as assistants, and I think you guys should be writers? Or, Did he ask for respect? Really? Wow.
Pretty much.
So you didn't have to give any kind of sample of work to be promoted?
Well, we had been writing some stuff. We wrote a lot of copy for behind the scenes stuff for the show. If you watch it, there's a lot of news footage and small things that are happening throughout the series. And we did a lot of that. So he had seen what we were capable of through that over the course of the year.
Awesome. So how would you describe your experience at the film school down here in Hawaii?
In Hawaii?
And what made you pick that film school, like out of all of the options in California alone?
Well, I'd moved to Hawaii, like I said, when I was 20. I worked for a nonprofit arts program in Kailua called Hawaii Education for the Arts, as I directed their summer theater program there. So I was living in Hawaii. I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go back to school. I'd left school after my sophomore year at a different college. And I heard about the program at UH. I'm actually Afakasi. My dad is from Samoa. And so when I learned about the program at UH, I realized that they had an emphasis on Pacific Island storytelling. And that was really important to me as a storyteller to sort of explore that aspect of myself and to do it through film. That was the big draw. Plus, it was a small program. So if you were a go-getter, any of the opportunities they offered there were basically yours for the taking. So I took.
Awesome. Were you with the earliest classes, or ACM had kind of established itself already by the time you heard about it?
I can't remember the year it started. It had been going on for a few years when I started. I was not the first class, maybe the 3rd or 4th.
That is awesome. So did you learn most of your craft there of screenwriting, or?
I think the thing that was most influential for me at UH was just getting an understanding of visual storytelling in general. Ann Misawa, the cinematography professor there, was really, really influential for me, and just pushing me to explore how the ideas in my head could translate to the screen. Writing has always been something I've been doing on my own, and I think I push myself more in the screenwriting realm outside of the school.
Was there more push for that kind of visual communication at ACM?
They do have a screenwriting track there. That just wasn't really my focus. I also consider myself an aspiring director, and those are really the skills that I tried to hone while I was there. I love production in all of its facets, so I shot a lot myself, and I tried to work behind the camera as much as possible.
As far as a director, what are the skill sets of that? Like, do you need to know all of the equipment kind of things? Like, what is their job aside from putting your name on everything and accepting all the credit?
Oh, fighting words over there. Well, I think communication is a really, really important aspect of directing. Just being able to work with a million different kinds of personalities. I don't think you need to. I mean, it depends for everybody. As much as you can possibly learn about all the different departments, the better. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in how to put up, a light, but you should be able to know sort of what you want. That's why you surround yourself with people that are experts in those fields, and but you need to be able to communicate to them what you want, so that they could accomplish that. But also, be able to work with actors who are their own creatures. But it's your vision, and you need to be able to communicate that to the people that are going to help you make that happen.
As a writer, do you have any daily regimen? Like, do you go and write 1,000 words like regular, like as a workout, kind of keep up, anything like that?
I think the right answer is yes. That's not my answer.
Oh, okay.
I wish I had that kind of discipline.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm a mom now. I have a little toddler who takes up a lot of my time.
Oh yeah.
And sure. I'm on a show, so I spend 3.5 hours commuting every day just to work.
Oh wow.
So I don't have a lot of extra time, but I do sort of have a process when I am in the midst of a project. I think I'm always reading, and to me that's just as much preparation for writing as anything else. And I write by hand. So when I have ideas, I have stacks and stacks of these notebooks that I scribble in, and I do a lot of stream of consciousness, just random thoughts to try to form ideas. Especially as I'm prepping and getting ready to go to script, I do extensive background work for each of the characters, way more than is necessary. And I'll spend days just writing about who I think these people are and finding small moments that I think are interesting and inform who these people are and where they come from.
Oh, nice. Just a quick add-on question. I'm really curious now. So let's say you had 2 months to come up with a script, and how much of that time is dedicated to research, and then writing the first complete draft?
I love research.
Yes.
Way more than a lot of people do. I mean, it obviously it depends on whether or not the project is coming from something for real life or it's completely pulled from my imagination. But sure. I would say, on a 2-month time frame, I'm spending probably 5 weeks formulating the ideas. And when I say that, I mean also breaking story. I think I like to have a roadmap for a script before I start. I use giant Post-its.
Okay.
I colored Post-its, and I put every scene up on a big board, and that's my roadmap before I start.
Oh, wow.
And that's part of the research project for me.
Yeah.
So let me just get this in before Ono taps on his third.
No, I'm question. Good. That was awesome. Thanks.
So the Post-it tabs, you said there are different colors. Like, does each color code a plot or subplot?
Yeah, it's usually a storyline: A story, B story, C story. Sometimes in TV, it'll be more character driven, especially, each character sort of has their own story, and it's a lot easier to see where they are throughout an episode if you could just look at the colors and the rainbow, and it helps to know if you're kind of stacked in one direction and need to sort of even things out.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing to think about. Now, on the post-its, what goes up on there? What's the most important? I mean, because that can only fit so much information. What do you try to nail down on each post-it?
Location.
Location.
I usually do a header, sort of like you'd see on the screen. I mean, on the page, like, exterior barber shop. And then underneath it, I like a little more detail. So I'll put, who's in the scene, what do they want, why aren't they getting it, how do they leave that scene.
Awesome. Now, what if there's like a ton of people in the scene? Do you list everybody's what they want, what's stopping them, or just like the person we're following through the scene?
That's a really good question. I think, if you want to get really crazy, what we do sometimes is we tape a bunch of different colors together so that that like maybe 3 storylines are converging. And then it's a little easier to emphasize, Jeff wants this and isn't getting it because Sarah ran into the scene and her head was cut off. So things happened and now it's complicated.
Sorry, that was a great answer, interrupted by everybody walking their dogs on Sunday and the neighborhood just blowing up. God damn it. Oh, I really like that technique. Okay, that I can see that playing out on, a 40-something minute thing, right? And that would take up a ton of wall space. But what if you got to do like 90 pages? Like, literally, how much wall does that take up?
So I have an office that I share with another writer, and we have covered our walls in whiteboards. So that's basically, it's all Post-its. It depends. I think, on a 1-hour TV show, depending on how long the scenes are, you want to have somewhere around 30 cards up, probably.
Per storyline?
No, for the episode.
Oh, okay.
And then, just adjust for a 2-hour feature.
Now, you said you like to build out the story or break the story first. So when you come up with, I guess, the important beats or plot points, how does that work in relationship to character?
That's a really good question. I'm a character first kind of writer. Some people like to figure out the plot first.
That's jam.
Yeah. That's not the way my brain works.
This happens to you then because I said it.
I usually think of stories in terms of what the character wants or needs. Why aren't they getting it? And, sometimes I know how I want something to end and kind of engineer it backwards. But so in a serialized show, you look at whatever happened at the end of the episode before and sort of see where the characters are emotionally, where we want them to go, and then I try to figure out how to get them there.
Now, with Lodge 49, is it the kind of shows that are more popular now that I like, that kind of build on one another instead of just fully episodic?
Yes, it is a serialized show. It's not a procedural. So it's, one big long story that builds.
Cool. Okay, so I guess for that, then you kind of have something existing to work with. Like, what about in your you create your own, in your stuff that you direct and are going to direct, you kind of, the genesis is with the character? Always. What do they want? So when I guess, since you start with character and then you have to put these things in front of her to stop her, there must be a direct relationship, I guess, between the conflict that comes up, like that's very personal related to the character?
Yeah, typically. I worked on a show called Designated Survivor, it started in the pilot,
Everyone dies.
Spoiler alert, everybody dies except one guy, and he becomes president. So like in that situation, that was, here's this big event. It was plot first, right? Everyone dies and there's one person left, and then we had to figure out how this one person navigated the world. I wrote a pilot a couple years ago about a young woman who returned home to a ranch and was dealing with her family life and things like that. And all I knew was that I wanted to write a show about why people believe things, and doesn't matter if what they believe is true. That was sort of where I started. And then I built everything around her, and at the end of the pilot there's this big accident, and it seems like maybe somebody came back to life. The question surrounding the show is, did he really die? Did he really come back to life? And does it matter if you believe that he did?
Wow, that's heavy.
And so I just started with those ideas, and then I put together the storyline to get me to those points.
Oh, so that one's kind of an interesting idea. You had a character, but you also had this huge kind of theme or dramatic question, and then you kind of found your way to the conflict that leads you there.
Yeah, then I built a whole mythology about this small town that she grew up in. I built this relationship, this sort of fraught relationship with her and her dad, and her sister. Brought a new guy into town that was going to challenge her expectations for this place in his life. And, I put the story together from there.
Can you tell, because it sounds like you put a lot of work into the detail of the characters that you create, can you tell when someone hasn't, like on the page, and I guess even furthermore on the screen?
Yeah, I think that there are just some shows that lend themselves to three-dimensional characters, and some shows that just live in the cliches, I guess. Not all shows are built to go super deep into their characters. Some networks don't even want you to.
That definitely wasn't the case with The Newsroom, though, right?
Well, Aaron Sorkin, from my experience with him, doesn't spend hours digging into backstory. He creates the backstory as he goes along and how it fits into the characters that he's working with.
Oh.
So we actually have the opposite approach. But not to say that he doesn't think a lot about these characters and how full their lives are. He creates it more on the fly, whereas I like to know everything before I start.
Is there a reason you do that? Is it just coming from a place of comfort, or you think it has a strategical application?
I think it's a mix of both. I am more comfortable writing about people when I feel like I know them. Mm-hmm. But also in that character work, I often find motivations for story.
Do you find that you also kind of discover things along the way? And if so, what's like the weirdest thing you discovered about a character?
Oh man. I got to think about that one.
Sure.
Can we come back to it?
Sure. Sorry,
Feel free to take time with your answers.
Good question. I just don't know.
Has there ever been a time where, well, okay, what's your philosophy on antagonists? And has there ever been a time where as you're writing it, you kind of fall in love more with the antagonist and the overall story suffers?
My antagonists are a necessary part of storytelling. When you don't have one, you don't tend to have conflict, and then it's boring. It's my personal. Why am I watching this story? Now, not every antagonist needs to be a villain, right. But I love complicated characters, and I do think that there are times when I'm trying to think of specific examples when the antagonist has like risen up and just been way more interesting, because you can kind of understand what they want, and you know, they have all these cool things going for them, like they
General Zod.
that, yeah. But I usually find when that happens, in general, if I fall in love with one character more than another character, it's probably because the other character isn't fully formed yet and is like a formidable opponent. So I try to find the balance in that.
Have you ever just kind of pivoted, be like, you know what, this antagonist is way more dynamic. Why don't I just tell it from his point of view or her point of view?
I can't think of a specific example of that for me, but I'm sure it happens all the time. We're, you know, it's a dark age of television where the anti-hero is king, right? So,
right. What do you feel about this dark age? I feel like it's a golden age of television, but I think it's like a dark age of every kind of popular storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, that is the wave that we're in. Personally, I am all about the darkness as long as there is a little bit of light. I like to laugh through depravity. I think we're in our darkest moments. We find some of the the best humor just in life in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I have noticed lately there's a lot of shows that are really, really bleak, which I think is a response to life in general, the reality of the world these days. So it's a little too bleak for my taste right now, but I think because the world is so dark, there are a lot of great comedies that are starting to rise up, and I appreciate that.
So for you, you know, be bleak and heavy, but I mean, mine it for humor. Don't just be like, life sucks, everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
Roll credits. Yeah.
Who wants to watch that? I know life sucks.
I know, like fucking, you know, some of these movies that make like the top 100 movies you got to see before you die. I'm like, why? That might propel me to end my life. Like,
oh no.
There's an anime called Graveyard of the Fireflies. I'm like, look, this is a beautiful piece of art, but this is 2 fucking depressing hours about 2 kids dying post Hiroshima bomb drop.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, there are stories that do need to be told that are super dark and sad, but I do try to find the levity in all of that.
Right. I mean, I might be hard pressed to find a gag in that, but yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, something is kind of at its most profound when it hits on more than just one note. Like, I'm so sad by this, but it's also funny because.
Right.
Do you watch a lot of fucking superhero kind of movies? DCU, MCU, that kind of deal? I
have seen most of the Marvel movies, but that's not generally my go-to.
Why, could you say?
Just I like smaller movies typically.
Oh, okay.
I do think the Marvel movies are hilarious. Really entertaining, but I have a limited amount of time to watch movies, and so it's probably not going to be what I dig into. And DC is just too bleak.
That's kind of why I brought that up. It's like, what do you think about that tone? I feel like they're like, fuck you, Marvel, look at us. Set
not
the
into
world on
it.
fire.
Although I did like the Dark Knight series, so.
Yeah, that was kind of the last time I feel dark comic booky movies really worked. So, what do you like with your limited time to watch other narratives? What kind of movies make it into that? You'd be like, "Ooh, that looks good. I'll watch that."
I finally saw 8th Grade this weekend, which was
how
excellent.
was it?
It was moving and uncomfortable and great.
Wow.
It was a great little movie.
I've heard that like a lot of people could relate to that particular girl's story. Was it more on the like what we I guess generally think of like high school as like the worst years of our youth? Was it?
Well, she's in 8th grade. Yeah, I mean it was just sort of, it captured that feeling of being uncomfortable in your own skin and knowing what you think you want to be as a person, not really knowing how to communicate that to the kids around you, and just the brutal nature of being young.
Was there a lot of observational humor in it? Because I think it's by this comedian guy, right?
Yeah, Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really call it a comedy. No, it doesn't have his same feel as stand-up. It's just this really honest portrait of puberty.
Okay, well, yeah, I heard that one is good. So that's the kind of films you seek out, like narrative indie dramas.
Typically, I mean, I'm open to a lot of different stuff, but I knew that movie would get me.
Is there a story flaw or a character flaw or any big flaw with these kinds of films that come out that you over and over see it? Like, for instance, with some scary movies, it seems that it's all about the jump scare versus the tension build and relief.
Sure. I think that sometimes people want to make an artistic film, and they think that story isn't really that important.
So how does that translate when a film doesn't value story?
Well, I think sometimes we get very, very excited about our ideas as creators and don't want anyone to tell us that we're not geniuses. And so it translates to the screen in that, you can have this sort of meandering story that doesn't go anywhere, but has these really cool shots.
Everybody's first screenplay.
17 of those really cool shots, but you still don't really understand who the people are and why I'm watching this. I'm not saying that every story has to have this like insane drive and it's just pummeling us with story, but like at the end of it I should be able to tell you what it's about, probably, unless you are making an art house film.
Right. I mean, there's nothing wrong about beautiful images, but I find those movies are like thematic as opposed to narratives. Like, look at this photo essay about the sprawling nature of life.
Yeah, and that's a very specific thing. If that's what you're trying to do that. If you're trying to tell me like this romantic drama and the whole movie is like, nothing is pushing these people forward, not even each other, then I don't know what we're doing here.
That's another thing. Okay. Can you kind of I have no idea how to ask this weird question. When you read a piece of dialogue, how can you tell that it propels the story forward versus, oh man, we're just two talking heads and by the time we exit the scene, nothing really occurred or it made no impact?
Typically, if I read a scene and it's 5 pages long and the first 3 pages are like, hey, how's it going? I really like this. I really like that flower on the table. Yeah, I like that flower too. Just talking about things that have nothing to do with the story. We're probably already lost in the weeds here. I break it down in each character in each scene should want something and not be able to get it. As simple as, two people are on a date. They show up at a restaurant. They never met each other. The guy really wants to get to know the girl. The girl is just planning her escape. All she wants to do is escape. So now I know that that's what they want, and they can't get it because he can't get to know her because she's not paying attention. She's just planning her escape. And she can't escape yet because she promised her friend that she would stay for 10 minutes. All the dialogue should somehow feed those two desires.
How would you craft that on the page? Because I feel that mundane, hi, how are you, could work now that I know the subtext. He's trying to delve deeper. She's like, fuck, how do I get out of this?
Sure. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule that you can't say hi, hello in a scene. But I think there's a tendency to, when you're just starting out writing, to like kind of live in that. And one of the rules I learned from Mr. Sorkin was come into a scene as late as possible and leave as early as possible. So start that scene not from the moment they first sit down at the table. Start it when they've already sat down and gotten their menus and gotten through those traditional hi, hello, how are yous. And now they're sitting in awkward silence and they don't know what to say next. So just dispatch with the pleasantries.
Right. Because you could still have that awkwardness conveyed with dialogue that isn't as mundane, I guess.
Trust your actors.
Do you like working with actors?
Yes. Some are easier than others. But it's a collaborative process, and they're going to find things in your writing that you didn't expect. And if you're paying attention and they're doing their homework, they'll make discoveries too that add extra layers and dimensions to your vision for it. And if an actor doesn't quite see your vision, it's, your job to communicate so that everyone's moving in the right direction.
What makes something really enjoyable for you? Like, I guess with the example of 8th grade, like what makes something work for you? Like, fuck yeah, this was worth my time and my money and attention.
I think it just really tapped into a moment of my life and made me think about a time that was really difficult for me, and the performance was just so honest, and visually it was just so simple but beautiful. There were a lot of different elements to it, but I don't have a great memory for detail, which sounds crazy because I'm a writer, but I think I have a really strong emotional memory. I remember how a movie made me feel more than what happened at the shift between the first and the second act.
Right. Okay. So I guess, it's from an emotional standpoint, then what makes a movie great? Is there a particular emotion you want to feel, or you want to?
No. I think I just want it to take me along for a ride, and I want a movie to surprise me and make me feel things that I hadn't thought about in a while, or things that I don't know. I'm willing and open to try all kinds of different movies, but it's the emotional experience that I find the most fulfilling.
For sure.
I like that too. I mean, that's my whole thing. If I wanted to think, I'd read a book or some shit. I watch movies to feel. Can you think of any like generally regarded masterpieces that, you'd be like, yeah, they're great and all of that, but they don't evoke that emotion in you?
I'm sure there are lots of them.
What about Godfather, Jaws, E.T.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy all of those movies, and I think they probably all made me feel different things when I watch them. They're not on my best of list. I actually just watched E.T. That is an amazing movie, but
I feel like I'm maybe 30 years too late.
Yeah, the moment past 30, it's not gonna have the same.
That makes sense.
I feel like
about Goonies.
Really? You haven't seen it, and you're like, you know what? At this point, I wouldn't get it, or
no. I saw it recently. I saw it as an adult, and I liked it. It's great.
Oh,
but
so
it
you didn't
have
see
that
that
nostalgic feeling for me. I didn't see it as a kid.
Oh, wow. Okay. That movie, Adventures in Babysitting.
Ooh. I've never seen it.
You never? Okay, those are one of those.
You didn't really miss anything. Some people love it, but other people was.
It's one of those late '80s movies. It had Elizabeth Shue in it. And
that's right.
Keith Coogan
and Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah. But it's funny because
don't forget Vincent.
Yeah, the real Thor. He actually plays Thor.
Thor. Yep.
Or someone looks at him as Thor, but the
As a tow truck driver.
the one of the actors in it, because he starred in it as a teen, and so he said as a 30-year-old, he's like, oh, I think these kids, they need some adult supervision. And like, I think in his 40s, he's like, where are these kids' parents? So it's like every decade, it's always a different feeling with the same movie.
Yeah, your context changes.
Yeah, for sure.
With your perspective. Yeah. E.T.
But yeah, with E.T., I don't think, as an adult now, no, it's not going to be the same.
It won't create resonate. I'm trying to think of a movie that, is from old. And then when I saw it, I was like, fuck, this movie's so great. I shouldn't have waited. I feel like I got woke to The Godfather late. Like, I think I was maybe 21.
I was definitely in my 20s when I saw The Godfather. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right? I feel like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, Godfather's like film 101. That's like the third movie that they show. And like,
oh yeah, what's the first two?
I think
Lovers in the Arctic. No, you talk about that movie every fucking episode. I get it.
That's 200 level. That's 200 level class. But 101, I forget. I don't know if it's called Das Boot, but they point out the Odessa step sequence. It was a silent movie. Or like, so that's very important, right? That's the first movie, right?
It's a very important sequence in filmmaking.
And then I believe film number 2 is Citizen Kane.
That was my guess.
Yeah, and so I'm like, Rosebud the whole time. What? I'm trying to look for clues throughout the whole movie. Like, what is it?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I thought
that was not spoiled for you.
No, like
growing up in the world.
No, yeah, it definitely wasn't. Like, this was my first time hearing of the movie, and what's his name? I forget. War of the Worlds guy, right?
Orson Welles.
Yes, Orson Welles, right? No, I had no idea about the movie, and so when I'm trying to figure out this, is this a puzzle? It's a riddle? Like, what is this? And then at the end, it's like, all right,
it's a lament on privilege.
It's it's Battleship Potemkin.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Battleship Potemkin.
Took me a minute.
Yeah, that's a step. Yes, and I mean, for its time, that was still a pretty violent scene. Like, what the?
Oh, like, it's traumatic.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? I was like, okay, this is just a silent movie too. They also showed Thelma and Louise. Like, all right.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Great movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess an Oscar and all of that. And Kelly Curry does that country series now. That's real cool. But like, as a whole, anyway.
I think.
I guess that emotionally spoke to you, right?
I guess. Yeah.
That's just fun.
Well, what was the writer, when she accepted her award? They said that the first thing she said was, "Oh, I gave everyone the ending they wanted," or something. Like, it ended perfectly. It's like, okay, yeah,
that was a pretty gangster ending. Yeah. Like, fuck, I don't know that I saw that coming. I mean, I don't know if I was like, analyzing films and looking for payoffs to setups, but I was like, holy fuck.
I always wanted there to be a sequel where they land on the other side. That's where it starts.
I'm surprising they did not milk that, because I bet you there would have been an audience.
For sure.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, they made it. Everyone, you don't have to be sad for these two.
Yeah, the fans would have been like, fuck it, I believe that. Let's see where this leads.
Like if they were to make that today, it could, it'd be like older Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon, like just living life like in another country. It's like they made it out, everyone. They made it out.
Yep.
Dana, can I ask, what was the last script you read that you really enjoyed?
You can ask. And it's a pilot script that just got picked up for a writer's room at AMC for next season. And it is called Kevin Can Fuck Himself.
Really? That's the title?
That's the working title.
That's the working title.
Fuck yeah. That makes me want to watch it already.
Best pilot I've read in years.
Nice.
You can look it up on Deadline. It just got picked up this week.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Can Fuck Himself. Oh man.
Yeah.
I need more shit like
Kevin
that.
Can Wait.
Wow. It's funny that's the working title.
It's a CBS comedy that might be canceled now. Kevin James
Kevin
comedy.
James. Oh, you mean King of Queens 2? Or no, I'm
Yes.
kidding.
Yeah, no.
It's pretty much it, right? That's what I've heard.
Kevin can fuck himself. That's hilarious.
It's incredibly entertaining and heartfelt and dark, and it's written by a young woman named Valerie Armstrong, and it's excellent.
Dana, I think we've reached the part in the show where we got to put you more on the spot.
Whew. All right. Hit me.
Can you please list off your top 6 favorite films of all time?
Okay, yes, I can do that. It's in
In
no
any
particular order.
All right.
I will say up front that they all just like hit me in that emotional spot, sweet spot. And I'm listing them because I feel like they still kind of live inside me a little bit. So like that feeling never left.
Ooh,
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh,
Hell yeah.
Virgin Suicides,
wow.
Oh.
Rushmore, Wendy and Lucy, that's a Kelly Reichardt film. Johnny Darko.
I'm seeing a trend or a theme.
Lars and the Real Girl.
Hell yeah. No one fucking likes that movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
Fuck yeah.
So I'm gonna throw in a weird one here. I'm gonna go with Dogtooth. Have you guys seen Dogtooth?
With what's his name? New Magneto.
Michael Fassbender, is he in that movie?
Yeah. I think he's the mother's boyfriend.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not seeing him on the list.
So
No, maybe not then.
if you've seen Dogtooth, you would remember.
I think I'm thinking of another dog movie then.
This is the Lobster guy.
It's the same director. Yeah.
Yorgos Lanthimos. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
No, I've never seen it. No. Huh.
It is a strange, haunting movie about abuse, some incest. Check it out. Fun for the
Well,
not your whole family.
If it's in typical Yorgos Lanthimos fashion, we're in for a ride, I think. Right?
It makes The Lobster seem very, very commercial.
Hopeful.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Oh man.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to pick. I love a lot of movies, but
Nice. Okay.
Those resonate the most.
sure.
Oh, interesting list.
Let's see. The people we've asked this question, I've always noticed every one of them, whether it made the list or not, they'd always mention maybe after listing the 6. There's I forgot Back to the Future. Put Back to the Future on there. But I'm wondering. Oh, okay. No. No. All right.
I feel like you're one of the more like resolute. Like these are my picks. Some people
Well, I
they're
mean,
like,
I have a lot more movies I would add to the list, but Back to the Future is fun.
Yeah.
If I was gonna go like out there nostalgia, 100%
For sure.
Never Been Kissed.
Oh wow.
oh yeah.
Okay.
I know that movie by heart.
For me and Ono, it's what's the one with the Walmart baby?
Where the heart is.
Fuck it, every time I see
love
that movie like 80 billion times, and it still gets me
Like-
every single time.
That's like rom-com. Well, it's not even a comedy. It's more serious. But like it's that when she's like in the beginning, that's where the heart is, and then at the end where the husband, the father of Americus, right? It's like
He gets fucked up. He gets like fuck him.
He's like,
fuck you.
when I felt that heart beating when I lied to you. It's like I was
I did
scared.
feel it, yeah.
And then she found out where
Well, why don't you write
her
a song
heart
about
is.
it?
She found her heart.
Oh.
It's like okay,
Oh,
I
man.
get it. But
Did not
And then-
see that coming.
And Forney, it's like every time like,
Forney.
oh,
he's the
Barney.
best. Oh my god. I
He
love
is
it.
he's the
the
bad
best.
guy in every movie.
But
Right? He is. Yeah, as Forney, he's like, oh man. I know. I don't like. And I don't know. It's one of those movies that has like a brainwashing thing or a brain deleting thing because I still can't really remember how the plot lays out. So every time I watch it, it's almost like re-experiencing it.
good list, Dana. That's
Yeah, that was.
Thanks.
I don't.
think-
A lot of those have not actually. Maybe all of them didn't ever come up before.
I feel like these are more more indie than they are mainstream. Because this is like a all-time list. The kind of movie you bring with you to a deserted island. I'm gonna watch these forever.
Yeah.
But
I should probably put another comedy on there. Well, maybe show.
No, don't force comedy because I mean,
well, no,
I like comedy.
I watch more comedy than drama typically, but dark comedy. I would say Lars and the Real Girl is a bit of a dark comedy.
Oh wow!
Hell yeah, it's hilariously sad.
That's how I like to laugh through my tears.
Plus, they did all weirdos a solid by casting the most handsome, charming guy as the weirdo lead. Like, if real Lars looked more real, it might have been a different tone. Like, just full-blown creepy.
That's point taken.
But yeah, I love that movie. Thank you very much, Dana.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Hope that was helpful.
It was very much.
Nice. Yeah. It's a good time.
All right.
Well, thank you, Dana. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. You guys too. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Bye.
Right, bye.
Bye, Dana.
All right. Well, that is it for this episode. Thank you for checking it out. Be sure to check out this episode's show notes for links to all our social media sites. But other than that, be sure to visit our website, nekkomedia.com. That's NEKKO media.com. And we also be on Twitter and Instagram. Very active on both of those. And you can check those out at cynical_mass. That's CINECAL_MASS. And feel free to get in touch through email, cinephilesandcinobites@gmail.com. Any movie recommendations, we'd love to check it out. Any screeners, we'd love to review. Any potential guests? Yeah, we love having guests on the show too.
Yeah, if you're a filmmaker, fucking hit us a line and we'll get you on the show. Ask you your top 6 movies and what it's like to be an artist like you.
Oh, yes. And any fellow cinephiles and Cenobites. You are welcome.
Yes.
Any place that they can hit you up, Mox?
At villainous_kind. Instagram and fucking Twitter. But don't bother. I rarely check it except when I'm drunk. So okay. I'd either send it to Ono or the show.
Yeah, you can check me out on Twitter at thisisono. That's this is OHNO. Same goes for Instagram.
Oh, no.
Yup. All right. Well, thank you again. Take it away, Annika.
This has been a Nekko Media podcast broadcasting from the Blood Cave, part of the /Potter family. For myself, Annika Pussyfoot, Mox, and Ono, keep the lights on and check under that bed because there's only one universal truth. No lives matter. That means you. Stay rating, Wokeland.
We have candy.
Probably both, it's really bad. And we do the shit all for you. And we sound like shit while we do. Tigers podcast. We broadcasting shit podcast. Tigers.